Hello there. Welcome to COVID-19 update by Heerak. This is May 5th, 2020. And today we are going to start off with a national anthem. Let's see if you recognize it. Yes, it's the British anthem. And the reason that I'm playing the British anthem for you is that the United Kingdom has become #1 country in Europe for COVID-19 death. The death numbers from COVID-19 in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, the United Kingdom, is higher than all the countries in Europe, including Italy and Spain. So in a sense, this is a tragic day, but we play the British national anthem to remember all the British people who have died. This COVID-19 has killed more NATO civilians in recent memory than any wars that we have fought together recently. Yes, it's a very sad thing. Unfortunately, NATO countries like England are having tremendous numbers of COVID-19 deaths, along with the United States of America, whereas countries that NATO considers as its adversaries have hardly any deaths. So it's a very strange reality that is being experienced by the United States of America and our ally countries, our military defense alliance, that's NATO. We're going to talk about the new reality in England today. So stay tuned. I created this show, COVID-19 Update by Heerak, in order to help you and your family survive COVID-19. According to experts, this is going to last at least 2 years. Currently, we do not have a cure. We do not have a vaccine. And a lot of people are dying in the United States and our ally countries, NATO countries, such as England. So I hope that you will stay tuned, subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can keep up. And because I provide you with information that others do not provide you with. CNN, BBC, Sky News, France 24, Deutsche Welle, PBS, other news stations do not provide you with the insight, depth, and breadth of analysis that I provide you on this show, COVID-19 Update by Heerak. So tune in every day, watch and be enlightened and become erudite. And more importantly, get information you need for you and your family to survive COVID-19. Today is also a solemn day for me personally, because my childhood friend died. So you can see from that orange bubble there, say, remembering childhood friend, Kwang Young, David Hong. So he's affectionately known among childhood friends as David. His Korean name is Kwang Young. And he died on Saturday. I just found out. He was young and full of life. He leaves behind a wife and children. It's really sad because May 5th is actually Children's Day in Korea. So Koreans all over the world are celebrating Children's Day. So I sent, Happy Children's Day greeting out, and I CC'd um, couple Korean politicians in New Jersey and Virginia who are probably also celebrating Children's Day with their children. It's a very big holiday in Korea, May 5th. It's a national holiday, everything closes. And so it's really sad because for the children of Gwangyang, um, this is not a day for celebration. It's a day for grief and sadness. And David was ranked number 2, salutatorian at Northeast High School in Philadelphia area. It's a very big high school with about 1,000 students graduating every year. I believe he was salutatorian. He might actually not have been a salutatorian, but he was one of I think 1 or 2 people who ended up going to University of Pennsylvania that year, if I remember accurately. It's been a while, so. But he was a top student at Northeast High School, very popular, one of the most popular students at Northeast High School in his graduating class. And he was very popular at church as well. And so the year, David Gwangyang went to University of Pennsylvania. That's when I entered University of Pennsylvania, along with Sarah Kim, and her Korean name is Jung-Yoon Kim, and she was valedictorian of Cardinal Dougherty High School in Philadelphia. I think it's in the Olney neighborhood. It was close to where I lived. That school also has about 1,000 students per grade. It's a Catholic high school, Irish Catholic high school, Cardinal Dougherty High School. So 3 of us went to University of Pennsylvania from our church. So we grew up together, and then, we were in the youth group, church youth group together. So all of us were at Philadelphia Korean Presbyterian Church, where my father was the senior pastor ever since we immigrated to the United States until he retired. And he was actually called by First Korean Presbyterian Church, and that's the reason why he immigrated. So he was called to be the senior pastor. So he's really sad for David, and my mother as well. So she contacted me today about it. My sister Vicky contacted me today about it. David Hong has younger brother and sister, and my sister was close with younger siblings. And so his younger sister, Jin Young, Hannah Hong, she married a pastor from Youngsang Presbyterian Church in Korea. I think that is the biggest Korean church in Philadelphia. It's in the suburb near Bluebell, Pennsylvania. And so her husband is education pastor at that church. She went to she actually started teaching at Christian school after she graduated from college. And her younger brother is Tom Hong, Hong Deok-young. And he is currently now director of University of Pennsylvania Orchestra. I believe he became the director of University of Pennsylvania Orchestra. I believe he still is. I was close friends with David, when we were growing up. And Tom, he went to Rice University in Texas as a music director. And was the director of the orchestra there at Rice University. and then he came to University of Pennsylvania. His wife is Taiwanese American. I believe she's Taiwanese. She's like of Chinese descent. And she's the first violinist at Philadelphia Orchestra. Um, so very musically talented family. Tom Hong used to play Phil Collins songs on the piano, and a lot of the girls at the church were just like melting. He was playing Phil Collins songs. And I have a lot of good memories. His father was, I think, seventh degree black belt in Taekwondo, and his father taught us Taekwondo in Saturday Korean school. I shared with you that on Saturdays, all the church kids at First Korean Presbyterian Church would go to church on Saturday from around 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we would learn Korean language, Korean history, Korean literature, Korean arts, and Taekwondo, which is Korean martial arts. So Sarah, Kim, Kim Jong-un이, and David Hong, Kwang Young-yi, and I, we went to Saturday school together as well. And we were in Taekwondo classes together that Kwang Young's father taught. And his father was kind of scary, to be honest with you. A scary Taekwondo teacher. Not like, well, he was kind of like Mr. Miyagi. You know how Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid, he doesn't smile or laugh at all. It's kind of serious. And it's kind of like that, when he's teaching Taekwondo. We respected him and we learned a lot of Taekwondo from him. Yeah, it's a Korean cultural thing. We all learn Taekwondo. So don't mess with us. But anyway, yeah. I'm sure Tom is devastated right now, and Hannah as well. They're a very close family, and they were really happy that Tom came back from Texas, Houston, Texas, from Rice University to be in Philly. So the Three Musketeers were, united again. So it must be really hard now, for all of them. Yeah. So it's sad. COVID-19 is taking so many lives, and as I've shared on this show, you're gonna know someone who's gonna be killed by COVID personally, either a family member or a close friend. And David Hong and I, we were really close when we were growing up. We used to play ping pong together in the summer, go to all the church conferences together, winter conference, summer conference, youth group. We used to learn 3 hours of shorter catechism, Westminster shorter catechism, in our youth group Bible study. We had some serious Presbyterian pastors teaching us in youth group, none of that like Mickey Mouse stuff that many people get in their youth groups. I mean, we had 3 hours of theological exposition by our youth group pastor. And that was like every Sunday. We would have 2 to 3 hours of theological exposition of the shorter catechism. And we used G.I. Williamson's shorter catechism for study classes. He's a New Zealand Presbyterian pastor. Presbyterianism is very big in New Zealand. So his book is kind of the standard for teaching shorter catechism, which is like a doctrine to youth group and college students. And my dad's church took that seriously. I mean, literally, I'm not joking, 3 hours of Westminster shorter catechism Bible study. It was more like a catechism study for youth group. I mean, they wanted us to know, Presbyterian catechism like inside and out. So they'll go in cycles. I mean, they'll go with like, what is the chief end of man? The chief end of man is to enjoy God and glorify God, enjoy Him forever. So, and then there's like a 2 to 3 hour exposition. And then they'll go to question number 2. Very serious. But one good thing is, I think that helped a lot because none of us fell away from the church. And I think it's because our youth pastors and my father as a senior pastor took catechism study very seriously. So we knew what we believed, and we're able to explain it to people. And catechism is theology, so we understood it at a higher intellectual level. So it wasn't just like emotional, loving Jesus. It was more like, how can you explain stuff that goes on in the world in intellectual terms? So, and our youth pastor would bring in like Hegel and Nietzsche and, all of these people. And that's probably the reason why all, like, three of us, Sarah, David, and I, we all went to University of Pennsylvania. Probably it's because of the church. That serious theology every Sunday at church. I mean, kind of made us pretty smart. So I actually recommend every church in America to seriously teach the Westminster Catechism. And since the church is closed, I would recommend all the fathers to teach their children like the shorter catechism if they're Presbyterian or Christian Reformed Church, or or teach your own catechism. But that since the church is closed, and honestly, it's actually the duty of the parents anyway. But if the parents can't do it, then you have churches doing it. But parents should be teaching their children, while they're children until age of 18, catechism and doctrines and stuff like that. So unfortunately, a lot of adult churchgoers in America don't really know theology because they're so wishy-washy. All they talk about is loving Jesus, and they're emotional. Loving Jesus is great, but you need to be able to love Jesus with your mind. And American churches have not really focused on that, unfortunately. It's too emotional, and emotions, are not going to be there. Emotions come and go, but steadfast Christian faith is always based on the knowledge of God, because true love comes from knowledge, right? Knowing God gives you true love. It's like married people loving each other as they learn more about each other and share each other. So true love is not emotional, right? And it's one aspect of love, but like love that rides turbulent waters and storms. Um, that's based on knowledge, not based on emotion. And that's why probably too many Americans get divorced, because they think of love as emotional. And obviously, the Bible prohibits divorce in the New Testament. Jesus Christ himself forbade divorce. And St. Paul, reiterated the teaching of Jesus that Christians must not get divorced. So many Bible center churches prohibit any divorced people from becoming pastors or elders, and sometimes even deacons, because Jesus himself said you cannot get divorced. So you could be a politician if you get divorced, but you can't be a pastor or elder, church leader. So that's the way that most biblical churches are. And obviously, the Catholic Church prohibits divorce. That's the right thing to do, because Jesus Christ himself prohibited divorce. So you're not supposed to get divorced. When you get married, that's for life. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, I mean, the Bible has its rules and regulations, and God enforces his rules and regulations through his holy angels. So if you're divorced, you should probably be repenting to God about your divorce, because that's serious sin before God. If you haven't repented for divorce, you must repent. I mean, God is very serious about divorce. And that's why Jesus taught it, and that's why St. Paul reiterated it. And if you haven't learned this before, then your pastor is not doing his job. And that's sad, because the pastors are supposed to teach you what's right and what's wrong, what the Bible expects. And if you get divorced because of your weakness, you have to repent, because, I mean, you're weak. That's why you got divorced. Yeah, Bible prohibits divorce for any reason. Well, you could get divorced for adultery, but there's a problem, because remarriage is a problem, right? Like if you marry a divorced woman, then Bible blames you as forcing her into to the state of adultery. So no Christian male is allowed to marry a divorced woman, according to the New Testament. Yeah, I know it offends some people, but that's just what the New Testament says. And Catholic Church, in principle, upholds the concept that you're not supposed to get divorced. That's just, it's just teaching directly from the New Testament, from Jesus and St. Paul. So, yeah, so if you're divorced, you do need to repent to God because, yeah, I mean, Bible condemns it. And if you be remarried as a divorced person, then you have to repent more. So obviously God will forgive you, but you have to recognize that's not the right way to live. And so yeah, so that's in the New Testament. So I don't really need to tell you. I mean, you can read it for yourself. But yeah, but anyway, in my dad's church, we that's why we didn't have any any divorce. Even among my youth group kids, all of us, uh, hundreds who've gone through our church youth group, there's been like only one or two who got divorced. Um, you know, and they should be repenting too, obviously, because divorce is wrong. My dad's church definitely taught that it was wrong. And so, and it's discussed when we're taught the catechism. Because in the New Testament, Jesus' relationship to the church is described as Jesus as the groom and church is the bride. And so it's a bond that is, solidly, uh, strong. And that bond is compared to the relationship between husband and the wife. And so that may explain why Jesus was so against divorce, and St. Paul as well. It's just, and Catholic Church is doing the right thing and condemning divorce. A lot of the Protestant churches, you're wrong. You've gone away from the Bible. Look at America. Look how messed up America is spiritually. We have gay marriage proliferating everywhere, gay pride marches. These are, according to Romans 1, evil. The Catholic Church follows the Bible and condemns gay marriage and homosexuality. All the Protestant churches should be doing that too, right? Because Romans chapter 1 is very clear about homosexuality being unnatural and it being a crime, and that God is going to send his wrath upon earth when homosexuality proliferates. And that's maybe from a spiritual angle why so many people are dying from COVID-19 in countries that have been very enthusiastic about supporting gay marriage, making it legal, like United States and NATO countries. Ironically, these are the countries that legalize gay marriage. And in Romans chapter 1, God does promise wrath of God being poured out for homosexuality. So from a spiritual angle, we can say that God is punishing America and United Kingdom for proliferating homosexuality and allowing gay marriage to be legalized. And so obviously God expects gay marriage to be illegalized. Sooner that United States illegalized gay marriage, sooner that United Kingdom illegalize gay marriage, sooner you will receive the grace of God back again, because obviously God has pulled the grace of God away from United States of America. God has pulled grace of God away from United Kingdom. Proof is in the pudding, as Eminem says. God made it clear in Romans 1, God's not going to tolerate proliferation of homosexuality. And Romans 1 is the holy word of God. And if people want to oppose God, they do so to their detriment, because obviously God's going to enforce his law. And Romans 1 promises wrath of God being poured out for homosexuality. And that's what's happening in the United States. God is punishing the United States for homosexuality. God is punishing United Kingdom for homosexuality. And if you remember Abraham asking God, will you kill the innocent with the wicked? Because God was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah for homosexuality. And God said, if there are 50 righteous people, then I will not destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And then, if you know the story, Abraham tried to negotiate with God to bargain the number down. So many people in Sodom and Gomorrah compromised and tolerated homosexuality and approved of that practice as being okay, that God ended up destroying the whole city of Sodom and the whole city of Gomorrah, so that all the believers, all the righteous were killed with the wicked. And that explains, what's going on. Because I assure you, David Hong is against gay marriage. He was taught in my dad's church. He's against homosexuality, follows Romans chapter 1. But righteous will be killed along the wicked when there isn't the requisite number of righteous that are needed for God to avert the wrath of God on nations or cities. So even if you're righteous, you're going to die by COVID, along with those who celebrate gay marriage and gay marriage laws, because wrath of God is being poured out onto United States of America right now and United Kingdom because of gay marriage. This is just God enforcing his law through his holy angels. God controls viruses, God controls bacteria, God controls illnesses. So God is, from a spiritual angle, from a biblical angle, God is punishing American Christians for tolerating homosexuality and allowing it to be legal by having them die by COVID-19. Just logical, because Romans chapter 1 is very clear. Bible is very clear that homosexuality needs to be illegalized by law, national law. That's very clear in the Bible. And obviously, United States illegalized homosexuality by law. It was enforced by the police until a few decades ago. Not just United States, United Kingdom as well. So, what changed? God didn't change. And so, evangelical Christians in America and United Kingdom have gone away from the Bible. If they tolerate homosexuality, they've gone away from the Bible, because Romans chapter 1 does not tolerate homosexuality. And the Catholic Church is right to be intolerant of homosexuality and say, no homosexual can be priest in the Roman Catholic Church. And homosexual life is condemned. And gay marriage is condemned. It cannot be performed in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is absolutely right to do that. And it's wrong for the Church of England to be going against the Word of God and allowing gay marriage or gay clergy. God's going to enforce Romans chapter 1 by using his angels, because it's the kingdom of God, and God is king. And he's going to enforce his laws. It's very simple as that. You may not think God exists, but you're still going to experience the punishment of God, whether you recognize it as punishment of God or not. Because, God exists. I believe God exists, and I believe that that's a reality. Either the reality is that God exists, or the reality is that God doesn't exist. So you have a 50-50% chance of being right or wrong if you're just guessing. I'm saying I'm right. And COVID-19 is the proof. Because why else are nations that have been aggressively pushing homosexuality the nations that have the most deaths, right? So from a spiritual angle, this is absolutely right. A lot of Christians who oppose gay marriage in the United Kingdom have been crying out to the Lord for salvation because the British laws are so pro-homosexual. Several Christians got fired for opposing gay marriage from their jobs. They became homeless, they entered poverty line. And we know in the United States, Kim Davis, who refused to issue a gay marriage license, was sent to prison. And so, obviously God's going to hear the cries of Christians who are trying to follow Romans 1, who are persecuted fired from their jobs or thrown into prison. So obviously God's going to enforce his law, and COVID-19 is the way God is enforcing his law. And if you read the Bible, this is the way God works. God sends plagues and kill a lot of people in divine wrath. And Romans chapter 1 promises a wrath of God being poured out. So you should not be surprised. I mean, some Christian theologians are saying, can God be just if a disease is killing people? You're asking the wrong question. It's God who's killing you and your children as divine punishment. Of course he's just, because this is his punishment. He's killing you and your family and your neighbors as a punishment for gay marriage. This is God, act of God through COVID-19 from a spiritual angle. So of course he's right. Of course he's righteous. Death of people that God is punishing through COVID-19 is the proof that God is righteous, because God is punishing United States and United Kingdom for violating Romans chapter 1, which is the law of God, and the law is against homosexuality. So, I was shocked in 2016 when a gay man spoke at the Republican National Convention, and I knew that God was going to punish the United States of America. Because that is absolutely wrong to allow a homosexual to speak at the Republican National Convention. And I was 100% certain in the 2016 National Convention of the Republican Party that God will send his judgment against United States of America if United States of America does not repent. Because you have two parties that is proliferating homosexuals. Democrats, more aggressively, but Republicans, if they're going to have Peter Thiel speak in the Republican National Convention, then God's wrath will be directed at Republicans as well. So you're not safe if you're a Republican. Don't hide behind your political party, because if you support gay rights or gay marriage, then obviously you're against God and God's law. And God's going to enforce his law against you and your family by using his holy angels who are invisible. Like COVID-19, it's like invisible, you can't see it. I stand with the Roman Catholic Church in condemning abortion and homosexuality and gay marriage. I stand obviously with my church, Korean Presbyterian Church in America, which opposes gay marriage, homosexuality, and abortion. I stand with our sister denominations, Orthodox Presbyterian Church and Presbyterian Church in America, PCA and OPC, which condemn homosexuality and gay marriage as an official stance. So I call on you to join me in condemning gay marriage and calling for illegalization of gay marriage. The Republican National Party must condemn gay marriage, because Romans chapter 1 is very clear. You cannot be gray on this. So not a single person. Ted Cruz from Texas, you cannot be soft on gay marriage. Gay marriage is evil, has to be legalized. Romans chapter 1. Lindsey Graham, same with you. You cannot be gray on this point. There is no gay rights that's allowed in Romans chapter 1. There is no gay rights that's allowed. We're not talking about First Amendment protection because homosexuality is considered a crime by God. Are you going to give First Amendment protection to first-degree mass murderers who just kill people out of nowhere? Homosexuality is just like first-degree murder. It's a crime, according to the Bible. So South Carolina, Senators Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham, you must oppose gay marriage, gay rights as a right. There is no right for homosexuality, according to Romans chapter 1. And the Republican Party must repent for what they did in 2016 National Convention. You have no protection of God when you support gay rights. Very simple. God's law is God's law. You either stand with God's law or you stand against God's law. Roman Catholic Church, thankfully, is standing with God's law against gay marriage, homosexuality, and abortion. Georgetown University is a Catholic university, so officially Georgetown University stands against gay marriage, homosexuality, and abortion. Same with Loyola University of Chicago. Same with Marymount University in Arlington, Virginia. Same with Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles, Santa Clara University in San Francisco area, San Diego University in San Diego, St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia, Villanova University in Philadelphia area, Fordham University in New York, Boston College in Boston area, Fairfield University in Connecticut, officially condemning gay marriage, homosexuality, and abortion. These are all Catholic universities. And as Catholic universities, they can fire every professor who, at any time. They're all private Catholic universities. They could fire any staff member, any professor who will attack the Catholic position on gay marriage or abortion. They can. There is a Lutheran university called Concordia Seminary. 1 year, they fired 100% of the professors, the denomination. The church came in and fired 100% of the professors because they were kind of soft on homosexuality. This was like several decades ago. And then they replaced it with Bible-believing professors. And they're like, we don't care about your Harvard PhDs, your Yale PhDs. What we want is for our seminary professors to teach the Bible. So all these people are famous scholars who got their PhD at Harvard, Yale, Cambridge, and Oxford. They're all fired. Because the church came in and fired everyone. That could happen at Georgetown. That could happen at Loyola University of Chicago. That could happen at Boston College. Obviously, if pro-gay lobbies become enough of a threat to the Catholic Church, then they can do that to protect the church. It's happened many times in history. And so, yeah, because, you know, there are things that cannot be compromised, and homosexuality is one of them. There will never be a compromise on homosexuality for the Bible. Because Romans chapter 1 is from New Testament. It's very clear. God promises wrath, meaning like judgment that results in death of people that you see in COVID-19. When you proliferate homosexuality and you tolerate it as believers, God's going to punish you believers for tolerating it. And so, yeah. So if you think you want to fight for gay rights, well, there's a problem. Because fundamentally, Christian church cannot compromise on homosexuality. It's our essential faith value, meaning the moment you compromise on homosexuality, you no longer become the true church of Jesus Christ. Because Romans chapter 1 is very clear on homosexuality. Not only that, St. Paul fought homosexuality often. New Testament has chapters and verses fighting homosexuality because homosexuality was proliferating in the Roman democracy like it did in Greek democracy. Like homosexuality is like the degeneration that occurs in democracies. And it happened in Greece, it happened in Rome, and it happened in the United States, it happened in England. So they follow the life cycle of democracy where it degenerates into homosexuality proliferation. It's happened in Greece, it's happened in Rome, it's happening in America, it's happening in the United Kingdom. And it's logical because political systems have a life cycle. History repeats itself. History is repeating itself here in the United States with its democracy. History is repeating itself in England with its democracy. History repeated itself in Rome with its democracy. Because Greece, democracy degenerated to homosexuality. That's exactly what happened in Rome. So there is no surprise. You know, you could talk about we are about love, but you could talk about whatever words you could use to talk about what it is. It's just a political cycle degeneration, political system being degenerated, that we see in democracies. Cycles of democracies in history. Happens with every democracy. So there's no surprise there. There's just absolutely no surprise with what's going on because we have the model of democracy in Rome, model of democracy in Greece, and US and England are just following these models. And that's unfortunate. Obviously, we have to turn the clock back. and illegalize gay marriage again and homosexuality again, the Republican National Convention must stand explicitly and publicly against homosexuality, gay rights, and gay marriage. If you don't, then you're going to experience the judgment of God as your part, as a party. You're going to experience judgment of God. And so that's a very, very important thing. Maybe that's the reason why God didn't want me to run as a Republican. I mean, I wanted to run as a Republican because I know majority of Republicans are against gay marriage and homosexuality. But the Republican National Convention did have a gay person speak. So maybe God doesn't want me to be affiliated with the Republican Party because of that. I don't know. I mean, I wanted to be affiliated with the Republican Party, but God created a condition where I cannot run as a Republican. So there must be a reason for that. I don't know what the Republican National Convention is going to look like in 2020, what they were planning. Maybe they were planning to have several more gay people speak, in which case I would wholeheartedly condemn that. Any proliferation of homosexuality in the Republican Republican Party must be opposed by every Bible-believing Christian, evangelical, Catholic, Orthodox, it doesn't matter. You have to oppose it. Well, what are you going to turn a blind eye because it's the Republican Party? No, Republican Party is not God. Republican Party is not the Bible. If the Republican Party embraces homosexuality, you must oppose the Republican Party. In the same way, if President Trump embraces homosexuals, you must oppose President Trump. Very simple, because you stand with the word of God. We like President Trump because he's opposed to abortion. And hopefully he will stand against homosexuality as well. If he embraces homosexuality, then all the Christians must stand against President Trump. Very simple. Because Romans chapter 1 is very clear. It's about your own personal salvation. It's about God's wrath for you and your family. If you want God's wrath for you and your family, go ahead and embrace homosexuality and politicians who embrace homosexual rights. And that should be a warning to every one of us who are in politics or in election. We cannot support gay rights. We cannot support homosexuality because the Bible clearly says it's a crime and that it has to be treated like a crime. Thankfully, a Roman Catholic Church stands against homosexuality and gay marriage. So I'm very proud to be at Georgetown University because it's a Catholic university and it stands officially against gay marriage. Yeah, I mean, you could do a stress test if you want. You know, yeah, let's do a stress test and see what happens. And I'm a historian. I studied history. I'm a very good historian. I know what happens. People can lose their legitimacy, you know, under certain stress tests. Nobody is God. No human being is God. You know, Caesar Augustus, Julius Caesar, was stabbed to death by his senators. U.S. You know, our U.S. Senate met today. Julius Caesar was stabbed to death in the Roman Senate at the height of his power, when the military were 100% loyal to him. And he enriched every Roman senator personally. Why? Because nobody is a god. Julius Caesar said, I'm a god, and people worshiped him as a god throughout the Roman Empire, but he's not a god. Julius Caesar lost his legitimacy. And I'll talk about Julius Caesar another time, but part of the reasons why he lost his legitimacy is because while he was married to a Roman citizen, a noblewoman, he had an extramarital affair with Cleopatra, and they had a bastard child together, Caesarea. And Julius Caesar thought he was invincible. He's like, I am Caesar. Caesar, not this Caesar, but I am Julius Caesar. And so he brought his lover, Cleopatra, to Rome at the height of his power and his bastard son. And the Roman citizens said, hey, we love you, Julius Caesar, but you went too far. You have insulted our God, the Roman God, because Cleopatra was worshipped as a goddess in Egypt. So she's a different god from the Roman god. So the Roman people say, you have insulted our God, the Roman God, and you have insulted our institution of marriage. Because Romans consider their marriages as very important, sacred. And so every single senator stabbed Julius Caesar to death, including Brutus, his right-hand man, stabbed him to death. And that's why we see in Shakespeare's play, Julius Caesar. If you haven't read it, read it. It's an amazing play. Or watch a show or like a movie of Julius Caesar enacted. Yeah, Julius Caesar's last words were "Et tu, Brute," you too, Brutus, my best friend, my best buddy, you're gonna kill me too in the Senate? And he did. So even the most popular leader in the world, who Julius Caesar was considered to be at that time, can lose his power. Not only his power, his life overnight. And so, we have to remember what is valuable and what is important. And Julius Caesar just, we call it hubris, right? He got drunk on his power, drunk on his popularity, and he stopped respecting his religion, and that's what happened. Because Romans were fiercely loyal to their own religion, and their religious devotion was important to them. And it's like the American people. Americans are fiercely loyal to their religion. And I wouldn't recommend doing a stress test to see whether the American people will be more religious to their religion, to Jesus. I wouldn't do the stress test if I were you. Chances are you will lose. Yeah, I'll be very, very careful because I'm a historian. I'm an expert of Jewish history. I've spent decades studying history at the professional level, and I see what happens in history. And history is reality, right? 100 years from now, people will be writing about now, and this will be a history book. And they may even write plays about it, like Julius Caesar, play by Shakespeare. I would not test the will of the people or go against religious texts, sacred religious texts of the people. I just would not, because you're risking a lot. You can lose it all. I would say that's not worth the risk. Whichever politician you are. Yeah, but anyway, but spiritually, obviously, we're definitely in the middle of a wrath of God. It doesn't matter if you don't want to hear it. I mean, people are dying. How do you explain it? Is God protecting you from COVID death? Is God protecting America from COVID death? Well, then you have the answer there. God's in control. All these people are dying. Either God has lost his control or God wants all these people to die, right? For whatever reason. How else are you going to logically explain this? What I'm saying is we need to be right with God as a nation, Romans chapter 1. Catholic Church is right to oppose gay marriage and homosexuality and abortion. And Presbyterian Church of America is right to oppose gay marriage, homosexuality, and abortion. Southern Baptist Convention is right to oppose gay marriage, homosexuality, and abortion. Oral Roberts University Assemblies of God is right to oppose gay marriage, homosexuality, and abortion. But you have to be serious about it, because Romans chapter 1 is very real. Prophecies can be positive, prophecies can be negative. Romans chapter 1 is a very negative, punitive prophecy, which God promises for homosexuality. And we are experiencing it right now. So on one level, this COVID-19 killing a lot of people in pro-gay countries with gay marriage laws should affirm your faith. Because now the proof that God exists, right? If God didn't exist, he would not do anything. because God exists. God's punishing nations that have officially legalized gay marriage. That's why God exists. That's why I believe in God. Because I'm a historian, I see through history the act of God. God interrupts history with quote act of God. Every time a nation goes against God's word, and the Black Plague in the Middle Ages, a good case and example. God comes in and interrupts history at precisely the moment when there is serious violation that continues. And so just studying history, I said, well, look at all these places where act of God, intervened at those times when God's laws were violated. And that's, it affirms my faith. I read the Bible. And that's what God does, right? God kills people, believers, who violate his law and refuse to repent, refuse to repent. God comes in and God kills them by using some kind of storm or famine or some kind of disaster or plague. That's what God does. That's who he is. And that's why God says, I am that I am. And unfortunately, innocent people like David Hong has to die. But that's what happens when the day of the Lord arrives. And you can read about the day of the Lord in Amos and Hosea, in the prophetic books in the Bible. When the day of the Lord arrives, no one is spared. It's unfortunate. When I saw a National Republican Convention and Peter Thiel, a gay billionaire, speaking kind of in a pro-gay way in the national, I knew God was going to punish America. I knew it. Because I believe in God. I'm a man of faith. I believe in Jesus, and I believe in the Holy Bible. I believe in the promises of the Bible, both good and bad. Like Romans chapter 1 has, punishment, punitive promises that God promises to punish, wrath of God. I knew God was going to punish. It was just a matter of time. So, when COVID-19 hit, I wasn't surprised because Romans chapter 1 is a promise by God, and God keeps his promises. So is God righteous? Oh, yeah, he is. And you see he's righteous because he's punishing for violation of Romans 1. Very simple as that. God is righteous, and God is righteous in what we see in COVID-19 in nations that legalize gay marriage. Yeah, either you have to follow the Bible or you don't follow the Bible. I choose to follow the Bible. You can choose whatever you want for yourself, but just remember, if you choose wrong, you will spend eternity in eternal damnation in hell. I'm just putting it out there. You deserve to know, and you know that. I don't even have to remind you. You side with the Bible, you go to heaven. If you side against the Bible, you go to hell. It's simple for Christians, right? If you're a Christian. So I call on Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott. You may not be truly born again Christians. Only God knows the truth. You may fake it. We would be faked, but God knows your heart. And one way we know whether you're a true Christian or not is if you support gay marriage and gay rights, then obviously you're not a true Christian. Ye shall know them by their fruit. So simple as that. For us Christians out here, we can assess whether you're a true Christian or not by whether you support gay rights. It's very simple because we have Romans chapter 1, Bible is there. So if you support gay rights, then we know you're not a true Christian. You may actually in fact be a true Christian. We're not God. We can't see your heart. Only God knows your heart. But we can judge you to be not a true Christian if you support gay rights. It's very simple for us, Christians who believe in the Bible. Because obviously we don't want to judge you, but on the other hand, we need to know where you stand. And if you stand with gay rights, then we have to make certain assessments for us to operate socially and in terms of politically. So if you say you support gay rights, then we know where you stand, right? You stand against Romans chapter 1. Doesn't matter if you're Republican. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat. You can't hide behind your party. And it doesn't matter who you are, what your name is. And if you're going to support gay marriage, gay rights, then obviously you're not a true Christian. That's the way we have to operate. We're not sending you to heaven or hell. God is, but we do have to know where you stand, and we have to act in society based on our assessment. And so, yes, homosexuality is a fundamental Christian issue. It's not like a side issue, because Romans chapter 1 is very clear, and St. Paul spent so much time attacking homosexuality. And in the New Testament church, every homosexual was excommunicated, kicked out of the church. They could not even come back to the church. They're kicked out of the church and not allowed to participate in Christian fellowship or worship. That's New Testament, and you may disagree with that. Fine, you could disagree with it, but that's the New Testament. You could create your own religion, but Christianity based on New Testament, that's what it is. God has created hell for some people to go to. I mean, just God doesn't want to save everybody. God wants to save people who believe in Him, and God sends people who don't believe in Him to eternal damnation in hell. God doesn't save everybody. God doesn't want to save everybody. And that's kind of found in Romans chapter 9. But anyway, yeah. So, as Britain becomes number one in in Europe and United States, we're here. And you know how many pride marches there are in the United States, gay pride marches? So, we have to think about this spiritual issue. You can't ignore it, because you're acting like God doesn't exist. You're like, oh, God's not there. Romans chapter 1 is by God, but I'm just going to ignore it. But God is choosing to enforce His law with His holy angels. You want to keep ignoring God and Romans chapter 1? Go right ahead, because God's not going to stop enforcing His law through His invisible angels. So if you do the math, you know what's going to happen. So I suggest that U.S. Congress illegalize homosexuality as soon as possible. And I suggest that British Parliament illegalize homosexuality as soon as possible. That's the smart move, because Kingdom of Christ exists. Romans chapter 1 is a fundamental part of Christian ethical value system. And Jesus Christ, as King of the world, is going to use His invisible angelic armies to enforce His law. Yeah, I mean, you could choose to ignore God if you want. I mean, that's your freedom. But, God exists. So let's go to the death counts. Yes, unfortunately, I was right. Remember yesterday and day before yesterday, we had like 1,300-ish death, and I said I'm not going to celebrate too early because death may spike back up again, and it did. It rose like 800, 900 deaths, and now we have 2,100 deaths in 24-hour period. Yes, this is tragic, but this is happening. It's happening. It's tragic. So in the United States, total number of deaths yesterday on May 4th is 68,922. 24 hours later, the total number of deaths is 71,022. So we're quickly going to the 100,000 mark. My prediction is that there will be 1 million US citizens killed by COVID-19 by August. Obviously, I hope that's not going to be happening, but it looks like it's going to happen because death is rising. It's keep rising. And it's beginning of May. My prediction is by end of May, we're going to have over 100,000, maybe even over 200 or 300,000 deaths in the United States. Let's see if I'm right. We'll do like another anniversary show, and we'll compare it and we'll see. And keep watching every day. I give you analysis. I give you analysis, and I give you comparative figures. I examine not just the tree, but different trees in the forest and the forest itself. And that's where I differ from CNN and Fox News and PBS. I provide you with a multidimensional perspective that has a greater chance of giving you the reality than just looking at one tree. It's like looking at the tusk in an elephant. I mean, there's a whole elephant there. You're just looking at the tusk. Now, let's go to the death numbers in Europe. As I mentioned, United Kingdom has the greatest death in Europe now, 29,502 deaths, nearly 30,000. Death numbers are exponentially growing in United Kingdom. So, you know, yeah, it's not letting down. I'm telling you, you got to legalize homosexuality as soon as possible, because God exists. God's enforcing His law. I mean, what do you expect God to do? I mean, God gave you the Bible. You're daring God by going against the Bible. God exists. Of course, logically, God's going to enforce His law. What are you going to do? What is God to do? I mean, you think God's going to sit there and just, you know, let you violate His word of God that's been there for thousands of years? Yeah. Italy has 29,315 deaths, and death is rising. It's not like death is disappearing in Italy. They have hundreds of deaths every day. Yeah, well, let's see what happens when they open up the country. They may have thousands of deaths every day, and we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. God knows. Yeah, and if God tells you, you'll know. But hey, you know, Spain has 25,613 deaths, and they're having hundreds of deaths every day too. There's like zero death in like Korea, zero. Like Asian country, there are many Asian countries where there's zero death. It's not like they're doing better job of social distancing and infection control than Western nations. Yeah. In Africa as well, there are countries with zero death every day. You know how aggressively anti-homosexuality African countries is? Many African countries right now have mandatory prison sentences for homosexuals. Some countries in Africa have death penalty for homosexuals. Christian countries. From a spiritual angle, they have like zero death. Can it be related? I mean, you gotta start asking logical, rational questions because you're a rational being. I mean, why is it that all these African countries without proper infection control? I mean, this is where we have Doctors Without Borders from France going over to help people because they don't have medicine, they don't have doctors, they don't have healthcare. And there's like zero death from COVID. I mean, they have cases, but people are not dying every day. Why do you think that's the case? See, if you look at it from spiritual angle, that God is enforcing His law through His holy angels, it makes sense, right? Because all these African countries are very anti-homosexuality. Socially, people are against homosexuality, and legally, national laws condemn homosexuality, like God wants. It makes sense, right? If you look at it from the spiritual angle, why there are not daily COVID deaths in Africa, where there are no doctors, no medicines, no remdesivir, whatever vir you want, no pharmaceutical companies, no COVID death without any vaccine, without any medication. Chloroquine, whatever these long medication names are. Yeah, none of that are found in Africa, but they have zero death. Many of these African countries, zero death from COVID, although they have cases. And it's not spreading, and they're not doing infection control. Yes, you gotta look at this from a logical standpoint. Why is this the case? And from a spiritual angle, I'm saying to you that is Jesus Christ, God, who is enforcing Romans chapter 1, using His holy angels who are invisible. That is a logical explanation That seems to be true by proof. Yeah, I mean, you can move it over, but France, look at how many debt they have, 25,537. I mean, geez, when did France became like close to Spain in death figures? It's about to overtake Spain. Geez, these NATO countries are just hurting. Belgium, 8,016 deaths. Now, you know, Britain is number one. And, I wanted to share something with you that I got from Britain. You see? It's like a little bottle opener. Do you remember Coca-Cola bottles? They still have them in England. You could buy those Coca-Cola, glass bottles, and you use this to open them and drink Coca-Cola. This is London, and I lived in Cambridge, England, for 5 years, uh, and I researched at University of Cambridge or Cambridge University. So my mom came to visit me one year, and we rode the London Eye. This is London Eye. It's like a Ferris wheel ride, and it's by the River Thames, overlooking Westminster, the Westminster. There, where this is Big Ben, right? The clock tower, Big Ben. Um, and Westminster Abbey, and you have the phone booth, Doctor Who phone booth right there, the English phone booth. And so, yeah, and so, I lived in England a long time, and I assure you, I'm a member of the British New Testament Society, BNTS. I actually went to deliver my paper at the gospel section. My paper was, my research was accepted. I went to my section, which was gospel section, uh, at the 2019 British New Testament Conference. And one of the speakers actually was sent by one of the archbishops to discuss gay marriage. So he took a position against gay marriage. Um, and he presented his paper, kind of attacking gay marriage, homosexuality. And this was a 2019 British New Testament conference in the gospel section. So I was there. Yeah, I presented my paper at a different session. They have many sessions every day. And I was kind of interested to see the topic being discussed because, that's an issue, and I have a lot of discussions with leading theologians in England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Since I'm a member of a British New Testament Conference, all the New Testament scholars who teach in universities and seminaries in United Kingdom, they're all members, so they come every year. So we meet every year, all the top New Testament scholars of Britain, from Cambridge, Oxford, Edinburgh, St. Andrews, University of Durham, Manchester, Binghamton, everywhere. And one of the things that I always emphasize is we must oppose homosexuality as a church, because practically all of them are like Christian clergy. So most New Testament professors are ordained pastors in some denomination, and that's the case in United Kingdom, Germany, France, United States, everywhere you go. So when I go to British New Testament Conference, they have like early morning prayer. They have like worship services. It's an academic conference, but they're all like clergy. And generally, it's like clergy in the Church of England. It's England, it's the official church. When I go to Germany, in Protestant areas, generally they're all Lutherans. If I go to Catholic areas, they're all Catholic priests. So it's generally like that. I go to these conferences around the world. Uh, so uh, you know, um, when I was in England, I used to talk to the Archbishop of Canterbury, who's like the Pope of Church of England all the time. So head of the Church of England and the Anglican Union, there's like what 500 I don't know how many million, 400 or 500 million people in the world who belong to the Anglican Union, the leader of that. Yeah, and the British Youth Testament Conference. I like to go every year because I see all the theo- leading theologians of England, some of whom are leading theologians in the world. And one of the things that I always emphasize is, you have to take God's warning, God's promise in Romans chapter 1 seriously because God exists. And I know all these arguments about I've heard it all, because because I'm a member of British New Testament Theological Society. I mean, they some of these liberal theologians try to push homosexuality, right? And so they have all their argumentations they bring. You hear them all the time. So I've heard every single argument. I mean, that exists. I'm 100% sure I know more arguments for than anybody at Georgetown University. Yeah, because I hear it all the time. I'm an expert, and I deal with global experts who deal with these things, for and against. And so, at this, British New Testament conferences, one professor, was giving his paper on against homosexuality and gay marriage, and I was happy to see a lot of people were willing to to be open to it, and some actually openly supported it. Supported the anti-gay marriage position. Unfortunately for United Kingdom, they were a little too late. It was in 2019, and they weren't able to legalize homosexuality in time. But looking at it from a spiritual angle, but there are people who are talking, but I mean, you gotta until the act is done, uh, you are in the stance of violation of God's law. So obviously, holy angels will enforce God's law when you are at the status of violation of God's law. So it's unfortunate for United Kingdom that the British New Testament scholars did not act quickly enough to illegalize or to influence the legalization of homosexuality. Uh, yeah, it's sad because more people will die in the United Kingdom because God's wrath is in effect, theologically speaking or spiritually speaking. I mean, God exists and He will enforce His law. Um, yeah, and Belgium has 8,016 deaths, and it's number 5, and its death rate is continuing to rise. So it may soon get to 20,000 or more. So we'll see. The Spanish flu of 1918 killed over 50 million people in the world, mostly in the third world countries. COVID-19 may kill over 15 million people in the world, but mostly in United States and European NATO countries. At this rate, that's probably an accurate projection. Yeah. So it is Cinco de Mayo. Today is May 5th, so it is Cinco de Mayo. So obviously, I want to continue celebration with you, cheer you up a little bit, and the triangular pennant that you see with the 3 roosters that we celebrated with International Day of Respecting Chickens yesterday. If you see yesterday's episode, I guess one of the reasons why I like that day is because my college, Jesus College at Cambridge, um, we emphasize rooster. We have 3 roosters, right? Our colors are red and black, and that's why I'm wearing my red and black. I'm wearing my Jesus College tie. You see the same same emblem as as uh, as in the screen there. This is a Jesus College tie I brought from Cambridge, England. So, yeah, so I have my Jesus College tie on right now. And so, I wanted to share. There's a nice tradition in Cambridge and also Oxford. It's called May Ball. So it's like those fairy tale balls that you see in fairy tale books. They have these balls, like elaborate balls, and it goes from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. generally around that time. So, when you see the Cinderella story, at the stroke of midnight, Cinderella rushes out of the ball, right? And loses her, slipper, which the prince picks up because balls generally go like to the next morning. And so at Jesus Ball, every college in Cambridge, so Cambridge University is divided into local residential colleges. So people eat there in the college, they live there, and each college for undergraduates they generally spend most of their time in their college because each college has professors and teachers. Um, so obviously there are departments, but most undergraduate students live in and socialize in their college setting on a day-to-day basis. So I was a member of Jesus College, Cambridge, and each college has a ball, May ball. So my college, Jesus College, had a May ball, and obviously I went to it. And like a ball, you ask a date if you want to. Not everybody goes with a date. Like if you see in the center photo, like me with the three Welsh guys, I call them the Welsh Guard. Three guys from Wales. Um, they didn't have any dates, but you know, I had a date. So yeah, this was one of the Mayballs. I wanted to go to Mayball this year. Mayball is generally in June, like mid-June, in Cambridge, and I wanted to go back to Jesus College, Cambridge, Mayball. And I was going to ask somebody from Georgetown. I know a lot of nice people at Georgetown, so I was going to ask one of them if they wanted to go to a Jesus College Mayball. We could have like gone to Jesus College Mayball, which is like from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And then we could have probably like maybe seen London area or something. This is in June. It's like summer vacation time, right? Um, so yeah, so that's what I was thinking about doing. But on March, COVID-19 hit and Georgetown University closed down. So I'm like, yeah, that possibility is out the window. But anyway, yeah, but maybe in the future, who knows? Yeah. So at this May ball, I took Rachel from Belfast in Northern Ireland, Rachel Saunders, and she's not from Jesus College. She's from Trinity Hall, which is also a college at Cambridge, and Trinity Hall they had their own May ball. But I invited her to my May ball, Jesus College May ball. And she's a very good Christian. She also went to my church. My church, St. Andrew's the Great, has about 1,500 members um, who are Cambridge students. I mean, church is bigger than that, but 1,500 are students at Cambridge. And Rachel was very active in the Christian Union, Trinity Hall Christian Union. So each college has a Christian union. It's like Crew, Campus Crusade for Christ, or Navigators, or InterVarsity, or Chi Alpha. These Bible studies in college. So Christian Union is this like Bible study that's like related with InterVarsity in America. So they're like brother sister college group, and so Cambridge, every college has a Christian Union. So she was one of the leaders in Trinity Hall Christian Union, and she was a third-year student. In Cambridge, only 3 years long. You graduate after 3 years. So I guess she was like 21 or 22. I was, a little bit older than that. And then, I asked her to go to the Mayball with me. She said yes, thankfully. so we went. And so they started out, from the left, and, right under Jesus College. We're waiting outside in the gate, getting ready to go in. She's taller than me, yes. I like tall women, so um, yeah, I like the fact that she was taller than me. I mean, that's just I like looking up at women. So put her in my pedestal. I don't know, but yeah. So Yeah, so she's beautiful. She's blonde hair, natural blonde, blue eyes, milky fair skin, from Belfast. So she had a like Northern Irish accent, and she was a really nice person. Um, yeah, so we were outside at the gate, and I was close to the guy in the center with the red hair. He's actually English. I think the other two guys are Welsh. Um, Where is he Welsh? Well, anyway, yeah, they all look the same to me. But anyway, yeah. So the guy in the center, we hung out together at Jesus College and did stuff. He was a third year, second. No, he was a second year student. I was close with a lot of undergraduates at Jesus. We used to do sports together and stuff like that, and yeah, I mean, we had a lot of fun together, and I was close to a lot of Jesus College undergraduate, women. I had a lot of female friends as well. Um, there was this one princess from Finland, Polina. I think she says she's a wait. I think she's princess from Finland, Polina, and she did her 6 years medical degree at, at Cambridge. So she flew from, I think she's from Finland. It's one of the Scandinavian countries. And so she flew over, and then she studied for 3 years, became a medical doctor, and she flew back to Finland because that's where her kingdom is. Yeah, so she was really nice, Polina. She had a maid in waiting. All these royalty in Cambridge, they have like they have like a like what do you call them? Like there's a like a serving woman. I don't know what the official title is. A lady in waiting, like so they're royalty, right? So they have like another person who kind of protects them, watches out for them, and also reports back to the king or whatever, the queen. When they come to Cambridge, they come with like this lady in waiting, like, and they generally study the same courses, go to the same classes. They're in the same like dormitory. I mean, it's one person to a room kind of dorm in Cambridge, but like they're always together because they're supposed to protect the royalty as well. And there's always safety in numbers, right? So you have maid in waiting. So Paulina had one of these. She was really nice, I talk mostly with Paulina, but yeah, they're both members of Jesus College. Generally they come to the same college together. They're enrolled as students and they take classes. And the royal parents, they pay for the everything, for the I don't know the maid. I don't know what the title is. I'm not royalty. I didn't grow up in England. I don't know what the title is, but yeah. But anyway, the funniest thing, like my best friend Martin, he's like royalty, and we would go to like areas in Cambridge, like towny areas, and people would like show him homage, like show him respect. It's like so weird. I mean, you never see this in America. Like we would just like walk into like a shop, and people know that he's royalty, so like everybody like defers to him, like they show him like homage. They act like really respectfully to him. That's so weird. But I guess you have to be English to understand that. For me it was just kind of surprising, that people in 20, like now this century they still really respect the royalty over there. So yeah, but anyway, yeah. But anyway, so Rachel and I, we went, and she made that dress by herself. Isn't that incredible? She was telling me like, oh, I made that dress. So she was wearing a scarf that matched the dress, and it came off. you know, by the end of the night, I guess, or not. That was an end of the night. It was like midway through. Maybe it was like before the midnight clock hit, Cinderella witching hour. But anyway, Yeah. So yeah, and so and she had all these other nobility type women um, from. Can you believe that they're all like blonde? Right, in the photo in the bottom, they're all like hair is like all blondish, and their eyes were like all blue. They're like all blondish women with blue eyes. I'm just kind of noticing they're all blondish. But yeah, so like all her other friends were kind of like that, like nobility types. Um, I don't know, I really like Cambridge. I do all these nobles and royals. I like wearing tuxedo to stuff. I wore it like several times. It's like it kind of feels like James Bond. Bond, James Bond. Shaken, not stirred. I don't know. Maybe because I say it with a deeper voice. Bond, James Bond, shaken, not stirred. But anyway, Rachel and I, we had a lot of fun. We're like dancing away all night long. She and I. She was a good dancer, and yeah, I was just enjoyed dancing with her. All night long. It was fun. I just talking to her, dancing with her. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that was a very memorable Mayball, Cambridge Mayball. I hope Rachel thinks fondly about it as well. I'd love to see her again. Um, I guess like yeah, one of these days I have to just like make a point of meeting up with all my Cambridge friends. Life is so fast, and I'm running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th district now. So maybe once like I'm elected, I could invite like all my Cambridge friends back. I use my staffers and invite them for like a banquet or something or dinner. Maybe my inaugural ball after getting elected. Yeah, that's an idea. Why not, right? Yeah, I'm sure I could find some English staffers. I mean, at Georgetown University, there, like I met some nobles, English nobles at Georgetown. They probably know Rachel Saunders. They probably know some of the people I know. Because all these nobles like connect. It's a small world. The world of the nobles very small. So yeah, Georgetown nobility. Um, you know, yeah. I mean, I could hire one of these Georgetown nobles as one of my U.S. Congress staffers. Have them like send out invites. They probably know each other. Yeah, hmm, that's an idea. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, and so that's. I also want to bring your attention to Patrick James. He's from Jesus College. He's a cool guy. He was part of Jesus College Christian Union, and so he's the guy who's right under the Mayball uh, letters, and he's kind of crossing his arm and. uh, but yeah, he's funny. He's kind of serious guy. I mean, he's a very very serious like English Lord type guy. But he's very brilliant. He did his doctorate in classics at Cambridge. He did his Cambridge bachelor's, master's, and doctorate. And he wrote this interesting book that you can read it. You could Google it and read it. Order it from Amazon. But yeah, he's a good guy. I enjoyed talking to him when I was at Cambridge. And a good Christian man. And so I miss Cambridge. I do. All the fun parties and Mayball. Like every year we have balls. And being a party lover like me, I used to go to several balls. So in a typical year, I don't just go to one ball. I go to several balls. But yeah, and every week there's like a formal dinner where you have to dress up in black tie, like tuxedo, every week. Yeah, at least once, sometimes a few times. I love that life. I guess like English nobles and lords, they're it's like a normal thing for them. But anyway, yeah, I just love that kind of life. It's so different from America. It was like so posh and so English and so stiff upper lip. I don't know. I enjoyed hanging out with all my. Well, Rachel's not English. Rachel Saunders, she's Northern Irish, but I mean, like all British type of people. Yeah, it was fun. But anyway, yeah, so I'm happy to share some of my life with you. And I hope you enjoyed, kind of sharing my life with me as well. And, if you're doing your bachelor's at a university like at Georgetown or another university in America, and you're watching this show. A lot of people watch this show, so you can be one of these undergraduates who are watching this show. I would actually encourage you to do like your master's at Cambridge, and if you get in, go to Jesus College. It's very, very hard to get in. A lot of people that applied that I know, they got rejected. Jesus College is really hard to get in. A lot of royalty, a lot of nobility. Yeah, I mean, people like me, I guess. I don't know. I may have, something like je ne sais quoi. I don't know. But anyway, I guess the royals wanted to meet me. Nobles wanted to meet me. My reputation precedes me. Wherever I go, my reputation precedes me because I'm like world famous, Jewish studies expert. My publications go before I do. They're all over the world, wherever you are in the world, hundreds of countries, wherever you are, like in Kazakhstan, you can order my expert book on Jewish studies in your local bookstore. So yeah, and your library probably has it. So I mean, I understand why all these people want me to be there, with all their important people. Yeah, I still don't understand why all these beautiful women like me, but I understand why all these important people want me around them. Because I mean, I'm like Leonardo da Vinci of 21st century. They recognize that. They're smart enough to recognize that. And that's why they're nobles and nobility and royalty, because they know quality when they see it. I mean, if you don't know quality when you see it, that's probably because you're not a quality person, right? But yeah. I don't know. Wherever I went, and like every country that I've been to, the powerful, the wealthy, and the most intelligent have always embraced me. Yeah, I mean everywhere. France, Germany, Italy, England, Israel, Russia, Philippines, Indonesia, India. Yeah, wherever I go. Yeah. Hmm. I guess knowledge is power. Hmm. Interesting. But anyway, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed my show, and I hope you learn more about COVID-19 and what's happening in the forest, what's happening with other trees. And I'm happy you got to meet Rachel. She's an important person to me, and so I'm happy that you got to meet her. Um, doesn't she kind of look like Margaret Thatcher? Or she kind of looks. I don't know. She kind of looks like somebody I know. I don't know. She has that familiar face. Hmm. And anyway, she reminds me of someone. Does she remind you of someone? I can't put a finger on it, but anyway, happy the Cinco de Mayo. That's today, last day to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. If you haven't done so, yeah, and I hope you will survive COVID-19. Keep checking back so that we can survive COVID-19 and become erudite and more informed about COVID-19. And now you're part of my world. You met my date to Jesus College Mayball, Rachel Saunders from Belfast, Northern Ireland, and some of my friends, Patrick James and others. So yeah, you're becoming part of my life. I hope you're enjoying becoming part of my life. And if you're in Virginia's 8th District, don't forget to vote for me on November 3rd, 2020. I'm running against current U.S. Congressman Don Beyer. He's a Democrat. I, Heerak Christian Kim, am an independent. So look for my name, Heerak, and vote for me on November 3rd. I do have a problem, and I do ask for your prayer. I shared with you my problem yesterday a little bit. And the problem is, I get the feeling Governor Northam, Ralph Northam, doesn't like me. And I get the feeling like Virginia Board of Elections doesn't like me. And let me give you the reason why. On March 30th, well, Virginia Governor Northam issued a stay-at-home order, and he extended it from March 30th to June 7th. I mean, it's like a 3-month period, a 2-month period, right? And the problem is, I'm running as an independent, right? I've decided to run as an independent, like beginning of March, when I shared with you the story about how I didn't have enough money to file for Republican primaries. Like most of us, I don't think raised enough money to file. So like my friends, Jeff Jordan and Mark Elmore, I think they paid out of pocket for the filing fee. But being a nursing student at Georgetown University, and I'm borrowing $100,000 a year, so I have $200,000 debt, and with interest over like 30-year period, that's like $500,000 that I have to pay back. And I'm doing this because I want to save lives. I've shared that with you yesterday. I want to save lives as a nurse, clinical nurse leader. That's the program that I'm in. And I've actually posted my final year project poster, research poster, on how to use targeted temperature management or induced cooling, like cooling the body, as a way to save lives and to save brain function of patients who suffer heart attack, in medical term, out of hospital cardiac arrest. So, visit my Twitter account, Heerak for Congress with number 4, Heerak for Congress. That's posted on May 5th. So you could click on my poster and you could enlarge it and look at all the details of it. Yeah, so I went to Georgetown to save lives, and I consider Georgetown's clinical nurse leader program to be the #1 in the country. So if you're looking for a clinical nurse program to apply to, I would say definitely apply to Georgetown's. It's a great program. Professors are amazing, amazing. And I have introduced you to several of my professors, and I'm going to introduce you to several others of my professors in the near future. So stay tuned. You got to check back every day, because I share stuff about my life. And if you're interested in going to Georgetown for clinical nurse leader program, then yeah, you may want to hear more about it. If you got accepted for clinical nurse leader program for fall 2020 entry, make sure you come. I mean, don't miss this opportunity. You're going to regret it the rest of your life, because I think we just accepted clinical nurse leaders, the new class of 2022. And I think generally we have them come on campus and meet us like in June or May. But, COVID happened, so unfortunately you guys can't come and meet me. Oh, you're going to love meeting me. Everybody loves to meet me, but maybe in the future. But yeah, if you're one of these people who got accepted to Georgetown Clinical Nurse Leader Program to start in the fall 2020, graduating in 2022, it's a 2-year program. I say do it. It's definitely worth it. Even if you have to borrow like $200,000 to do it, I say do it. It's worth it. You will love the professors. It's an amazing program, and you're going to be a clinical nurse leader doing important things throughout your life. Yeah. Yeah, don't miss this opportunity. Just commit by faith to clinical nurse leader program at Georgetown. If you're accepted for fall 2020. Yeah, I mean, just commit. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't even have to think twice about it. If you want to save lives and if you want to do it as a leader in nursing, yeah, this is your program. One of my closest friends, Ying Fu, she got accepted to Johns Hopkins program and Georgetown, and she chose Georgetown, and she's very happy about it. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to knock you, Johns Hopkins. I heard you have a great program too, but I like Georgetown. I mean, I'm very happy I chose Georgetown. It's clinical nurse leader program, which is a master's program in the School of Nursing and Health Studies. So you will be too. So yeah, don't go to other schools. Come to Georgetown if you're accepted. If you're lucky enough to be accepted, yeah, don't pass up on this opportunity. But anyway, yeah, so just going back to my election, I'm hoping to and looking forward to winning my election on November 3rd, 2020. But Governor Northam issued the stay-at-home order on March 30th, and it goes all the way to June 7th. So what that ended up happening is that I have to collect 1,000 signatures because now I'm running as an independent, and I have to submit the 1,000 signatures by I think it's June 7th or June 8th. So like day before the end of the stay-at-home order. So I'm like, how am I going to collect signatures when you have a stay-at-home order? That's impossible. I cannot collect signatures. So Governor Northam issued a stay-at-home order from March 30th to like June 7th or 8th, like a day after the deadline for submitting 1,000 signatures. So I'm like, this isn't right. I'm either, because I'm sure Ralph Northam knows me because I'm pretty famous. I'm known around the political world. So I don't know if Ralph Northam did this to sabotage my run, because it was known that now I'm going to run as an independent, and obviously I have to collect 1,000 signatures to get on the ballot in November. I'm official candidate with Federal Election Commission, which makes me official. I'm officially an independent candidate for U.S. Congress officially, but there's a procedural thing where I have to kind of go through the state, because since each state controls their own elections, you have to kind of go through although I'm running for a federal office, I have to go through the state processes. And collecting 1,000 signatures is easy. I could have probably done that in a week. So I was planning to do that like sometime like in April or, May, probably like in April, just space it out. And I have my campaign finance manager, and I have some other people who want to, I have like volunteers, like dozens of volunteers who I could have used to collect my signatures, and other staffers as well. But now it's like, after March 30th, stay-at-home order, that's impossible. You cannot collect signatures when stay-at-home order, executive order from Virginia's Governor Northam is in place. So I wrote a letter to Virginia Board of Elections saying, you have to waive the requirement to collect 1,000 signatures because there's a stay-at-home order right now. In the state of Virginia, it was issued by Virginia Governor Northam. It's impossible to collect 1,000 signatures by the deadline, which is like June 7th or June 8th, because Governor Northam's stay-at-home order is until June 9th, like day after the deadline. So you have to waive the requirement for me to collect 1,000 signatures, because I cannot go door to door, knock and collect signatures when there's a stay-at-home order. They'll be violating stay-at-home order. So I wrote a letter to the Virginia Board of Elections, and they're like not responding to me. I talked about that yesterday. They're like, I lip sent them letter, I've emailed them, I've called them many times. I think they're just trying to ignore me. They're trying to push me out. Like they don't want me on the ballot. Because geez, I could have easily collected the 1,000 signatures. That's nothing. It's just a procedural thing. But now that there's a stay-at-home order, I cannot collect 1,000 signatures by the deadline, which is like June 7th or 8th. So I'm asking them to waive that requirement, which they should, since Virginia Governor Northam himself issued a stay-at-home order, making it impossible for me to collect 1,000 signatures. Right? Is that the logical, fair thing to do? But so I wrote the letter, and I'm just waiting for the letter saying yes, your requirement for 1,000 signatures is waived because of the stay-at-home order. But I haven't received that letter back, and I'm calling on and so I think people, maybe they're like liberal progressive racists who don't want like a man of color, outspoken man of color like me to be on the ballot in November. and they're like trying to block me out by, like ignoring me. It's terrible. So, please pray for me. Those of you who are out there who support me, even if you don't support me, I mean, you should stand against injustice, right? And discrimination. I consider this like a institutional discrimination. I'm a man of color. I'm a very outspoken man of color. As you see, I practice my First Amendment right, my right to religion, my right to my political views. I practice that in my Twitter account, and I practiced my First Amendment right in Twitter account and uh, my daily show, and I have that right. So if you respect freedom of speech and freedom of press, freedom of religion, you should, uh, contact Governor Northam and complain about this, and contact the Virginia Board of Elections and complain about this, because why are they trying to like ignore me, right? It's a procedural thing, right? I mean, if I were supposed to get 1,000 signatures and there's no stay-at-home order, I could get 1,000 signatures, send it in. But there is a stay-at-home order that was issued on April 30th to June 9th, right? So Governor Northam must waive my requirement for 1,000 signatures. It's just logical, fair thing for Governor Northam to do. So, I sent a letter, another letter to Virginia Board of Elections because I didn't hear anything back. And I said, please send me a reply in writing. And I've CC'd Governor Northam as well. So Governor Northam received a copy of my letter requesting that 1,000 signature be waived. And so I'm just waiting back. I mean, Governor Northam needs to do the right thing and waive my requirement for 1,000 signature. What is he afraid of, right? I mean, is he afraid that I'm going to win, beat his friend Don Beyer? Is he playing nepotism, trying to protect Don Beyer? I mean, it shows I can win. I mean, Ralph Northam knows I can win. That's why he's playing dirty. Don Beyer probably knows I can beat him without any problem. Maybe he's telling Ralph Northam not to reply or waive that requirement because Don Beyer is afraid of losing to me. Yeah, I mean, something is wrong in Richmond. In Virginia controlled legislature and Virginia controlled governor office, and Virginia controlled the Virginia Board of Elections, I guess. Yeah, it's a problem. But anyway, I'll keep you updated. If I hear back from Virginia Board of Elections, I'll let you know. Because you are now part of my family. You have met Rachel Saunders from Northern Ireland, Belfast. So you're like Heerak's family now. So yeah, I'll keep you informed, and I hope that some of you will feel a sense of injustice and speak up for me. Contact the Virginia Board of Elections and Virginia Governor Northam about this injustice that I'm going through. Yeah, what I call institutional discrimination against an outspoken man of color. If it can happen to me, it can happen to a black man who's outspoken, right? A black woman who's outspoken, Hispanic man who's outspoken, another Asian man, who's outspoken, who's in similar situation, right? It has to be fair. Everything is fair. I mean, beat me if you can at the general elections on November 3rd, 2020. Don't play dirty like this, trying to like block me out of the elections by like not replying to my letters and like putting a stay-at-home order from March 30th to June 9th or whatever it is, day after the deadline for filing the 1,000 petition signatures, right? I mean, this is just plain dirty. I mean, it's plain dirty. So I hope, Ralph Northam will stop playing dirty and Don Beyer will stop playing dirty as well. I mean, why did they make stay-at-home order to be one day after the deadline, right? So that I can't collect 1,000 signatures. It's targeting me. Because, I was outspoken at CPAC. I did like several interviews. You probably saw my interviews, in my website, heerakforcongress.com. I have several interviews there, the links to that, watch my interviews. And, when I decided to run as an independent in early March, Tom Byron knows that. And Ralph Northam knows that. I mean, political world in Virginia is fairly small. Everybody knows. And so they're just trying to play dirty and block me out. And that's why Ralph Northam made the stay-at-home order to be one day after the deadline for submitting 1,000 signatures, targeting me, Heerak Christian Kim. Ralph Northam sees Heerak Christian Kim as a threat to his friend Don Beyer, who's a Democrat, and they're going to play, World White Boys Network against me and try to like disenfranchise me and block me from the political process. And what is institutional discrimination, right? What is institutional prejudice? Institutional discrimination. This is an example of institutional discrimination. I'm saying that this stay-at-home order is intentionally meant to target me. Yeah, because my deadline for submitting 1,000 signatures is a day before Ralph Northam's stay-at-home order ending. Why did it precisely make the stay-at-home order from March 30th to the day after the deadline when I'm supposed to submit it? Because he knows I went independent in March. So this is targeting me. Because he doesn't want Don Beyer to lose Virginia's 8th district, which is considered a very important Democratic seat. And then Ralph Northam knows that Heerak Christian Kim can beat Don Beyer. You know I could beat Don Beyer. I'm just a better candidate. I mean, I'm just a better leader. I could do more for Virginia's 8th district. But, all these kind of dirty tricks being played is just wrong, This is not what America's about. So I encourage you to complain to Ralph Northam, even Don Beyer, but, most importantly to Virginia Board of Elections. So let's play fair in Virginia, right? So anyway, thanks for hearing me out, and thanks in advance for your support and help. And I hope that your family will be well, and that you will be well as well. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Okay, bye.